So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, the Daredevil show. I mean, it's in it's like one of my top 10 probably TV shows for sure in the top 10.
Really.
Yeah, like I was talking with someone the other day, and like top five probably Breaking Bad,
Uh-huh.
Better Call Saul, Dexter seasons 1 through 5, Hannibal, and then probably Cobra Kai.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah,
Top
you
five.
probably you haven't liked that many TV shows.
I don't like them in TV shows. Like I mean, Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul are definitely in there, and then like I would just like, can a comedy be in there? If it's a comedy too, then like Curb Your Enthusiasm's there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah,
Um,
that's tough. Curb's up there too, man.
Curb's up there. Curb's top five for me for sure.
Curb's definitely top 10 for me.
I love Curb, but I haven't seen that many shows, man. I haven't seen half of the shows you said right now.
I could see Curb might be able to take Hannibal's place. I don't know. I
Yeah,
could see Hannibal. Hannibal, I could leave out of the top. I don't know. Hannibal's freaking great, but there is Hannibal has some problems that have been pointed out.
mm,
There are some issues in Hannibal. It's not perfect. Like it's
yeah,
not like Breaking Bad, um, where it's just perfect.
yeah,
I am right now currently watching The Wire.
yeah. Oh, I want to watch that.
That's a good show, dude. I'm still on season 1. I'm like maybe halfway through season 1.
Yeah.
But that's a good show. The Wire's good, dude. The
Okay.
Wire, I have to say, and I don't know if I mentioned this on a recent episode, but The Wire, I think was probably, I think seems like it was a big influence on Better Call Saul
Yeah.
because it has the same sort of format where it's like you have two shows in one, where it's like there's like the law side of the show, but in The Wire, it's the police instead of lawyers,
Mm,
and then you have the criminal side of the show. Um, it's a little more interweaving than Better Call Saul is with those
yeah.
storylines. And you even have, dude, there's like a guy, there's a character, D'Angelo. He reminds me a lot of Nacho.
Really.
He's a lot like Nacho, where he's like this
Yeah.
kind of sympathetic guy who's just sort of like in it, you know?
Yeah.
And he's not, like, when you watch the show, he's not quite like trying to get out. I don't know if that's where they're headed with it, but he's just, he's got a better, seems, at least at this point, it seems like he has a better heart than the other characters, and like is smart. He's definitely a lot smarter than the other gangsters and stuff.
Yeah.
So pretty similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Wire's great. I definitely would not put. I don't know if I'd put Sopranos even in my top 10, to be honest. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Sopranos is a little overrated.
I think for me, like if I was trying to put together a top five, like Breaking Bad and Cover Call Saul would be in there. Atlanta would be in there, and then Curve would be in there, and Mad Men would be in there. But to be honest, like at least two of those are just from a lack of me having seen a lot of TV shows.
Which two?
I feel like Atlanta and Mad Men could go. If I was just somebody who watched more shows.
Yeah, yeah. And what was the other one? You had Breaking Bad, Saul, Mad Men, Atlanta.
And Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, and Curb. Yeah, yeah,
I think Curb just stays. Like I love that show so much.
yeah.
Like it's such a great comfort like comedy show. I've seen it 20 times probably.
Oh man.
So that doesn't go anywhere. It stays.
Yeah.
Those three stay. Like Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, and Curb stay. I would like to kick one of those two out. Like I would like to kick like Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul out just because it feels like one is like a continuation of the other, and it feels like it's just the same show.
Yeah.
But I'll just leave that. I'll just leave that as it may. I'll just let it be.
You know what's interesting? I used to, and I don't even remember what our original. I think our original point with the MCU to tie off that thread is that this
Yeah.
shit's getting fucking ridiculous.
It
It's
is
just
getting
like,
ridiculous, and it is the multiverse saga. I was right. I looked it up.
dude. I mean, it's just straight product.
Yeah.
I mean, It's just straight up product. Secret Invasion, Agatha, Coven of
Yeah, I don't know what
Chaos.
that is.
Jesus.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania,
The
The
only way
Marvels,
the only way
Ironheart.
yeah.
Yeah,
The only way the Daredevil show is going to be any good is if they realize, if they really are just disciplined and they don't start taking freaking liberties and they really take the next couple years while they're making this to study and think about what made the original show great.
yeah.
You know, not perfect. It wasn't perfect. Really, the only perfect, near perfect shows that I've seen are Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And
Yeah.
so far, just from watching a few episodes, I feel like The Wire could probably
Be up there.
be perfect as well. All
So
of
it
the
would justify that Family Guy meme where it's like him talking about like what is that meme? It's like he's always saying like
it's hypnotized. He's
yeah,
hypnotized by the TV.
yeah.
It's like he's like, we now return to Breaking Bad, and the TV's just like, you will tell your friends that that Breaking Bad is the best show ever made, except for maybe The
Since
Wire.
exactly, except for maybe The Wire. Exactly, that's it. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I loved that, man. When I saw that meme, it was like right during my first, like when I was a kid, like my first Breaking Bad fandom, like the
Yeah,
beginnings of it. I was like, oh, that's awesome. They mentioned Breaking Bad. Um, but yeah, that's the only. Yeah, and here's where I was going with that. Like, besides Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, like all those shows that I mentioned, even the other ones in my top five, like have issues. You know,
yeah,
they do. Like no show is perfect. Curb, I could see almost being perfect.
hmm
You know?
yeah. I can see that with that show because that show is like is so much of itself. You know,
Yeah.
it's like because to me, I always try to look at these things. It's like, what is this trying to do? You know,
Yeah.
and is it doing it effectively, and is it doing it in a way
Yeah.
in which I'm just always captivated by what's happening.
Right.
And with Curve, that's true, like 95% of the time.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
That's my thing too. It's like that's how I rate movies, honestly.
yeah,
You know, if I give a movie, you know, like let's say if I give a movie like Saw,
mhm,
not Saw itself, but like Saw, like a 10, it would just be me saying like this is a 10 out of 10 of this type of film. Like this is
yeah,
a 10 out of 10 for what it's trying to be, what
yeah,
it's doing, what it set out to do. It accomplished it in flying colors and had a great effect on me
yeah,
as a result, you know.
right.
Besides Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, I
Mm,
think that every show pretty much is like less than perfect, you know, like even the shows that I put in my top 5 or top 10.
yeah,
And I did say that I suspect, just from watching the few episodes of The Wire that I've been watching, which I started a week ago, I do think it's possible for The Wire to also be one of those perfect shows.
mm,
Sopranos was definitely not a perfect show. Um, you know, even within my top 5, Dexter, far from a perfect show. You know, I mean,
yeah.
Dexter. I only put Dexter seasons 1 through 5 in my top 5 shows. Like those seasons are so good.
Only seasons 1 through 5.
Yeah, that's what makes
Good
it
point.
tough though when a show gets shitty. Like with Game of Thrones is like, well, it's like, what do you even mean when you say you like that show anymore? You know what I mean? Like when you say that's a great show, it's like, except for these few seasons, you know. Um,
Right.
it's almost more appropriate to rate the seasons or whatever, because that's sort of like with a movie series how you would rate movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. You know, Hannibal's not perfect. Hannibal's fantastic, um, but there are some times when, you know, some of the episodes would kind of they'd go into like they sometimes bordered on, especially like the earlier episodes, they bordered on like police procedural.
Yeah.
Which it was weird because it was like on one hand you have this like David Lynch type thing. I mean that's like the Hannibal creator was like most inspired, I think, visually by like David Lynch. Like
Mm.
it's very just psychedelic, like weird show,
Yeah.
it's grounded in reality, but every episode has like hallucinations, like just psychedelic imagery. The transitions are always really like psychedelic and shit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it was weird, like the first couple seasons when they'd have like different blocks of episodes where it would just turn into like police procedural type stuff, and it was just like just felt like we were kind of wasting time.
Yeah. This is like kind of.
Yeah, this is Hannibal.
Do you feel? How do you feel about True Detective? Because I know you've seen that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah. Season 1 of True Detective is so amazing. Have you seen True Detective?
Nope, I've not.
You've never seen True Detective? None of it, huh?
I'm
Okay.
telling you, man. Like TV shows, me and TV shows, and you know this. It's like I've given a lot of shows a try because I've given a lot of shows. I've seen a lot of shows as like first episodes.
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of first episodes of like Westworld and Killing Eve and like all this shit. It all fails to captivate me long term.
Yeah, those are definitely not the right shows. The right shows for you to watch would be the ones that I recommend to you. That's good. But no, I know for now. There's a couple shows that I know like for a fact that you'll really like. Just knowing you and your tastes, and what you comparing it to things that you do like. Like I know for a fact, like get not a fact, but I guarantee that you'll love Hannibal, and I do guarantee that you'd love season 1 of True Detective as well.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, season 1 of True Detective is so good, man.
Do you have anything to say about shows like Fargo or shows like Money
Oh,
Heist? Which I do. I plan to keep watching Money Heist, but to this day I've only seen episode one. But that's one of the shows where I'm like, oh, I want to see. I want to keep watching that.
yeah. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot about Fargo. Fargo, yes. Okay, wait, I might need to readjust my top 5 actually, because Fargo
Yeah.
season 1 again. Fargo's an anthology series like True
Yeah.
Detective. Fargo season 1 is one of actually I do think Fargo season 1 is perfect.
Yeah.
I do think you'll like. I'm yeah. I guarantee you'd like Fargo season 1. You like Coen Brothers stuff.
Yeah.
At least as much as I do, which is a good bit.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah. And in fact, I think you've been like, there's a couple Coen Brothers movies that you and I have seen that you liked more than I did.
I know that I definitely liked A Serious Man more than you did.
Yeah, which the main character in Fargo season 1 sort of reminds me of that guy in
Yeah.
A Serious Man, except he's more evil. But he's
Yeah.
he's like that. He's just this like bitch basically.
Yeah.
But then he
Yeah.
becomes like evil through as the series goes. I won't spoil anything, but uh yeah, Fargo's freaking amazing. I mean, Billy Bob Thornton, his the hitman that he plays, it's a lot like Sugar from No Country for Old Men. But I think he pretty much plays that character just as well as Javier Bardem or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think those two roles are like equal.
Yeah.
It's basically the same exact character.
Yeah.
Probably just like it's the same exact thing pretty much. He literally has like those exact sort of moments of like call it like how much have you ever lost on a coin toss? Just mess with people.
Those kind of moments, yeah, just being sadistic, messing with people.
Yeah, and just walking around like you just get this idea that this dude is just like this floating like entity that just like drifts from place to place, just causing mayhem, basically.
Yeah.
Just death incarnate. It's pretty much the same character, I would say, more or less. There's even like some callbacks and stuff to
Yeah.
No Country for like some nods. Like there's a self like healing scene or whatever. Just like
Right,
that.
he has to do like a medical procedure on himself.
Yeah, like that. There's a scene just like that. Yeah, so I would definitely put Fargo season 1 up there too. Seasons 2 and 3 aren't bad either. I mean, they're really good. They're better than most TV shows out there. Still haven't seen.
What about Money Heist? What do you think about that show? How does that rank for you?
Yeah, Money Heist. Money Heist is not perfect. Money Heist is really good. It does get a little sketchier, like, because they just did their 5th and I believe final season, and it gets a little sketchier around season 4. Like it starts to get a little like shark jumpy, like jumping the shark a little bit. Like it gets a little like, you start to notice that like people have plot armor, just little things like that. Like, oh, this is sort of doesn't make sense, and oh, that guy, that's total plot armor, and oh, that's I mean, there's a scene where they are like shooting at this guy. It's like 10 people shooting at him, and he just kind of like runs and like does this somersault, and like all the bullets are hitting like every molecule around him except for him, and you're just like, dude, come on, man. So Money Heist isn't perfect, and that's another. I think, they leave on like a big cliffhanger, and I still haven't watched season 5. That just goes to show that show didn't. I was really into it when I first watched it, and I was like binging it, but if it doesn't bring you back salivating the next season, then was it really that impactful?
Yeah, it's one of those things, man.
Yeah, like even if you were okay at the time, you were binging it, but then a year or two goes by, and
you don't really care to go back and watch whatever's happened.
Yeah, and that's how it's been with me with like Rick and Morty. I'm just like, I don't. They announced another. I'm like, I don't fucking care. They announced another season today. I was like, I don't care.
Well, they got greenlit for like 80 something episodes, whatever it was, a few years ago.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. It's just that's the thing with Rick and Morty, where it's like first 3 seasons of Rick and Morty, I could not wait, man.
Yeah.
I could not wait. Like
I remember.
2, oof. Season 3, oof. We're on that, and then like
yeah,
then it just faded into the distance.
Yeah. It's the new.
But what hasn't faded into the distance, what we could use this as a segue to, is to talk about Better Call Saul episodes 9 and 10.
Yep. So spoilers here for Better Call Saul or episodes 9 and 10 of season 6.
Spoiler alert, everybody! I don't know how long this is into this podcast, but it's somewhere, and I'll find it.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So let's get into it, dude. Dude, the opening montage of episode 9 with the Perfect Day song.
Yeah.
And then it's like Kim and Jimmy are going about their day, and then you just see Mike and the dudes like cleaning up the blood in their apartment, fishing the bullet out of the wall, and you just like, oh, dude, I remember when that came on, I was like, fuck, man. It's just gut wrenching, dude.
Yep.
And then when they come home, that was the worst, dude. Like at the end of the montage when they come home, and it all is just back to normal. Like the whole place is just, it's like nothing even happened.
Yeah.
And the way they just look at like the room, and they just have this look of like sadness,
Yeah.
Almost like Howard was like a dog that died.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh.
But it's interesting though, because like when that happened, they went about their day, and like we got to that moment, and when that happened, it was like I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, there's just no going back,
Yeah.
Like at that moment, I knew. I was like, oh, it's over, like this is over, like.
Yeah.
Just like the air of just like death,
Yeah.
in all the senses that our word applies to. I was like, this shit's over,
Yeah.
And we went to fucking Gus when he went to meet with Bolsa and Don Eladio.
Ding 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 ding.
Yeah, man, that was tense. That was a tense scene.
That was hilarious. That became such a meme, man. With the ding 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 ding. Oh my god, man, that was so funny. That became a huge meme after that episode came out.
Really, I'm not plugged into like the fan accounts and the meme pages. I've not seen like any memes.
Yeah, no, the memes are good.
Only seen that Cinnabon thing that I sent you.
Yeah, that was great, dude. This one from today, dude. When it was the one I sent you, Crazy Theory. Jimmy, Saul, and Gene. Jimmy, Saul, and Gene are the same person. That's hilarious. There's some good stuff. This one was hilarious, dude. With Lalo hand zip tying Jimmy, and he pauses like.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. You sent me that one too. Yeah.
Yeah, for anyone who can't see it, they paused at a moment where it looks like Lalo is basically pitching and Jimmy's catching.
Yeah, exactly.
It's when Lalo's like zip tying his hands behind his back. Yeah, there's some good memes. Yeah. What do you think about Jimmy like just basically like repeating word for word what Mike said to him?
What do you mean?
Like, would you?
What,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let me give it some context. When they went to the hotel room and he was basically repeating word for word to Kim, like, one day we're gonna wake up and we're gonna brush our teeth, and we're gonna realize that we hadn't thought about it. That's when we know we can forget. You remember that?
Yeah, but it's like one of those things where it's like he said that, and it struck me as like a bargaining chip from him.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, he knows. Like in my head, like the way that I experienced the episode, the very get go of the episode, I was like, this relationship, like the fact that things have gone the way they did, the fact that Howard went, like all of these things, I was like, this relationship is going to implode in this episode.
Yeah.
And it's either, and I was like, and it's, it's not going to be Jimmy who's going to like get out of this, like like Kim's going to do something. And I was like, this is the episode where Kim does something. And so when he said that, to me, it just felt like him kind of trying to, kind of reading the room and just kind of being like, okay, she's like really like, like she's like really out of this, and I have to kind of like start saying certain things.
Yeah.
See if I can get her brain to kind of see this in a different way,
Yeah. I got that too in this episode. Like the whole episode is basically, and I gotta say, like Jimmy really was just kind of. I feel like maybe he had already had a similar experience, like in the desert, with people getting shot and shit in front of him, which granted is not as bad as seeing someone get shot because of you, basically. But I felt in this episode, I was just like, Jimmy's kind of a bastard. Because I was just like, this guy doesn't really. I don't know. I felt that whole episode. I was like, this guy just doesn't really care that Howard's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't at all, but he's not. He appears to not care as much about Howard's death as he does about just things being different between like him and Kim.
It's one of those things where it feels like his character, somehow it feels like his character to me after the death of Chuck.
Yeah.
It feels like his character is like stunted.
Yeah.
Where he's just emotionally done. You know? Like it feels like anything that could happen, anybody, doesn't matter to him as long as that anybody is not Kim.
Right.
It can just be anything, anyone. He's like, I can get past that. Like it's like I basically, in his head, he knows. It's like I'm basically responsible for my brother committing suicide.
Yeah.
So it's like, what else? What else can happen that can shake him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that. Because the dude's just broken. Like, because you're exactly right. Like that whole thing in the hotel room when he's just like, then we'll know we can forget. You see this kind of look on his face, like, I hope she's buying it. I hope she's
yeah,
listening.
exactly. Yeah,
And
exactly.
then
Yeah,
too, another moment that struck me even more is when they were leaving Howard's wake,
mm,
whatever it is, memorial,
yeah,
and they're in the parking garage. It's like right before Kim kisses him goodbye or whatever,
mm,
and they're walking through the parking garage, and he's like, "Well, that's it. It's all over. Let the healing begin."
exactly.
And I was just
Yeah,
like, "Dude, shut the fuck up, man. Like, the fuck's wrong with you? You're
yeah,
just like, it's done. Let the healing begin. Let's just watch the put a band-aid on it and watch it heal. It's just like,
yeah,
no. And I was like, this guy's just lost. This guy's broken, man.
yeah,
That's what I realized right there. I was like, this guy's just broken.
yeah. But this was a very like to the point episode because like basically got closure from Gus, where he went. He met with the Salamancas. Everything happened, and then we got closure with Mike, where and obviously we're gonna talk about this. He went and he talked Nacho's dad. What did you take from that?
Yeah, so, and then I do want to hop back to Gus for a second, but yeah, before we do that, yeah, I'll answer your question. Yeah, I thought that was it just felt, I loved that the Mike's last scene, at least in the Better Call Saul timeline, I'm assuming, because we jumped ahead.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna go back there, man.
Yeah, I think we're going to at least be, and the Better Call Saul timeline, even though he became Saul Goodman at the end, like, it doesn't necessarily mean we're in Breaking Bad timeline.
Yeah,
And I did see a couple people online were like, he's wearing the same clothes that he wore to meet Wall, and no, he's not. People say shit, and then I go check on it, and it's wrong. I was like, no, he's not. It's a different fucking tie. It's a different shirt. It's not the same. Like, what are you talking about? I think it's like the same shirt, but the tie is like totally different. Come on, motherfucker. You gotta look harder than that. But I loved that Mike's like last scene in that particular timeline had to do with Nacho, because it adds so much context to Breaking Bad. Where like now when like I was watching a clip from Breaking Bad yesterday, and I was just looking at Mike, and I like was like, this is a man who's like carrying Nacho, that character, as baggage, like now in this
yes,
show, and, and
yes.
and that death is like baggage for him.
Contextualizes him and his relationship with like Jesse and everything else that happens.
Yeah, I almost feel like Jesse was his like way of like maybe making up for Nacho a little bit, like kind of the way they
Yeah,
became friends, and he was mentoring him a little bit, and they
yeah,
respected each other, very similar to him and Nacho. But yeah,
yeah,
I've always loved that about Better Call Saul, is like with Saul and Mike and other characters too, but especially Saul and Mike, it just contextualizes them so much. It adds so much to them. Like you look at their characters, and yeah, like there's no retconning it. Like you're never gonna watch Breaking Bad, and Saul's obviously never gonna say, "I once had a wife named Kim." Like they're not gonna,
right.
they're not gonna George Lucas it and like go back and change it. But it doesn't matter because you can see that behind him. Like this man, it's canon. Like this man has that memory. And same with Mike, and I think that's awesome. But yeah, that's kind of that's the main thing that I got from that scene, was more of like a meta thing like that. But the actual like scene itself and the subject of the scene, um, yeah, really good, man. I really liked how Mike, told told Nacho's dad, like, hey, you know, your son was, you know, in that world, but he wasn't like the others. Not really.
Yeah.
He always had a good heart. He tried to do the right thing.
Yeah, but it's interesting though because I think this episode, in a way, was marked by characters saying things that they wished were true.
Yeah.
You know, because like when Mike said that to his dad, I was like, okay, I get that. I'm buying what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, Mike. I'm picking it up. You don't have to bend your old knees. I'll pick it up for you.
Yeah.
I was like, I was getting that. But then he said something at the end, and you know what I'm talking about, because his dad, Nacho's dad, called him out.
Yeah.
He was like, time's coming and justice is gonna be done or whatever. And his dad was like, justice. He was like, he said like, it was like you like gangsters. You're all the same. You know, I'm always talking about justice, and that's the thing. Where it's like even when Mike said that, I was like, dude, you don't believe that.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't believe that. So that it was like that. Like him and Jimmy, they had those moments in this episode where like they were just saying things, and it's like there's no, that's not true. Like you're saying something. It's like this Hail Mary, like to see if you're gonna get something out of the other person, but you're not gonna get it.
Yeah.
Like the only character that really came across as like it's like, oh, this person's saying things and they mean it was, and they know that what they're saying is true. Was Gus. But even Gus, there was like something to him that it was like you're lying. You know what I'm saying?
And what part was that?
Well, like the part for me that stood up with that was because they're asking him. Bosa asks him to look at him. It's like, oh, look at me, and I'll know. And he looks at Bosa, and he's trying.
Oh, you mean
Gus
Eladio?
is trying. Eladio, that's right. And he's looking at Eladio, and Gus is trying to like come across. And, he has to sell this fucking thing. Like he was playing with the Venezuelans. Whatever. But the interesting thing is that after Hector goes bananas and the twins take him, Bolsa says not Bolsa, Eladio says to Gus, he says, odio. He goes, un poquito no está mal, siempre y cuando no te olvides de quien manda. Right? So he tells him like, I can see the hate in your eyes. Like I can see it,
Yeah.
And he's like, a little bit's fine as long as you don't forget who's in charge. So it was interesting because it feels like maybe that was the moment of that episode for Gus where like he's trying to present himself as something, but the other person can see right through him,
Yeah.
You get that iconic looking at himself in the fucking pool shot. But that's what this episode was marked for me of just like three protagonists, three men. Now that we don't have Nacho, now that Kim's departed, from the show. Like the three main protagonists of this show, and each one of them trying to convince somebody else of something, and that somebody else is like, you're not convincing me of the thing that you're trying to convince me of.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But somehow that also being the conclusion of their arcs within this timeline.
Yeah.
Very cool, very interesting shit, man.
Yeah. And I guess it's just basically saying like I feel like sort of the theme there is just like it's like yeah, you can choose to become a criminal and do evil things, but you can't really fool yourself into thinking that you can just dip a foot in and then take it out when you want, and it's interesting because it harkens back a little bit to in season 4 when Jimmy and Kim they're in a fight. They're in a really big fight, like on they're in a really big heated argument on top of that parking garage. You know what I'm talking about? And Jimmy had just gotten turned down by the bar. And Jimmy says to Kim, and I think he was right. He was like, you get a little bored with your life, so you roll around in the dirt with Slip and Jimmy, and then back up. Back up the ladder. You just back up the ladder. You come down or roll around in the dirt and then back up the ladder. And he was kind of right, and that I think Kim realized in this episode, like, I can't just do that. There's consequences. You can't just come down, roll around in the dirt, and then just clean yourself of it. And there were visual cues too throughout the series of Kim after her and Jimmy would do like a scam or something bad of her cleansing herself of it. For instance, there was like a moment, there was a scene where like after they had done something, sort of like a more small scam. I think it was after it wasn't even a scam. They just threw a bunch of beer bottles off the balcony. And then in the next episode, in the morning, they wake up, and Kim, it focuses on her brushing her teeth and like spitting, and then like she spits like a few more times, and I remember being like, "What's this all about?" And then like the next scene was her like sweeping up the broken bottles, and it was I think it was basically trying to say like, yeah, she thinks that she can just at night, one like some night just go fucking hog wild, and then the next morning it's all fine. You can just clean it up, go back to yourself, tie your ponytail.
I guess this is like the show that broke the camel's back for her, because it's like, oh, there's no bringing this guy back from the dead.
No, exactly.
He's done. He's done. So
yeah, you can't undo that.
Yeah.
Terrible, man. Yeah, I do. I did miss Lalo, especially when we were at the pool during the pool scene, and I was like, there's like Gus meeting with the cartel guys, and I was just like, no Lalo. Damn.
Yeah.
I was like, I miss that guy, man. That guy was such a great character.
Think we'll see those guys again? You think we'll see Gus or Mike again?
Yeah, I think so.
Think so?
Maybe. I don't know. That's a good point.
Like,
it does. It did feel like a. It did feel like a rap.
Like literally, you wrapped those characters up. It's like, okay, everybody knows. Everybody's been fucking waiting. It's like we're gonna see Walt, and we're gonna see Jesse. It's like everybody's been waiting for this shit. We all know it's gonna happen. It's like, is it just like a whole gang reunion? Like, is Gus gonna be like? Are all these fuckers is gonna be there? Like, or is that it? Like, obviously we're still with fucking Jimmy. Obviously we're with Gene, but is there a point seeing Gus and Mike anymore?
I don't personally like. Yeah, I don't think so. It feels like they wrapped, but
literally feels like they wrapped.
But it also feels like Saul wrapped too, but he didn't. Obviously.
Exactly. Yeah.
By the way,
I guess there's something there, man. I guess they have some kind of idea of how to put all these characters in the same room again.
Well, the thing they not only did they wrap so they didn't wrap Saul, they wrapped Jimmy, and they wrapped Gene last week or last Monday. So where the fuck do we go?
Exactly.
But I think
what happens now?
They were smart to wrap up Gene, especially with what ended up happening. They were smart to wrap up Gene last week because last week's episode that couldn't have been the finale.
Yeah, no.
And ain't nobody, even if it was more exciting, nobody wants to see. I don't think anyone ever. I mean, personally, I never wanted to see a whole Gene episode as the finale.
Yeah.
I would have been like, eh.
My guess is like whatever episode implements like Jesse and Walt again, that probably will be the last episode of the show.
Well, I don't think so, because you know what next week's episode's called? You're not gonna fucking believe it. Breaking Bad.
Really? Oh man.
Next week's episode is called Breaking Bad. Which is fitting because Breaking Bad has an episode called Better Call Saul.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited. Oh boy.
How poetic is that, dude? That they both have. It's literally like the yin yang symbol. How the yin and the yang have a smaller version of the other inside of it.
Yeah.
That's.
But do you really think that we're done with the Gene shit? Because I mean, those two guys, they could turn up again, and be like, "Oh no, we want you to do this," like. You think that they're just like, this is it, like whatever.
I mean, I'm not positive that that's the end of Gene, but it seems. I think the only other place I could see the Gene character going is like to Kim, like if he
Yeah,
goes and
that's
seeks
the
her
only other
out.
thing that I can think of too. It's like, what else can happen? Like, he told those guys, like, don't come after me again. We're done. Say we're done. And the guys were like, we're done. And I was like, they said that we're done, but they could still come and bother you.
Yeah,
Um,
and so now.
and then I guess,
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you still talking?
what were you saying?
I was just gonna say that. Uh, what was I gonna say? No, yeah, I was just gonna say. Now I guess we can get into this past episode.
Yeah, yeah, I
Well,
guess so. Yeah.
actually, I think we need to talk for a second about. We could probably go over this past episode pretty quick because it's not too.
No, not that much. I mean, I really don't have that much to add about this one either. It's
It
very
was great.
straightforward.
I mean, I thought it was great. I personally, I was a little kind of like, I don't know if I want to watch a whole black and white Better Call Saul episode. Well, it's not that I didn't want to watch it. It's more like I just felt kind of like, I guess this is going to be this week's episode, where I really wanted to get into like what happens next in the main timeline.
Yeah.
But I think first we should talk about the breakup in last week's episode.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, no, that was rough, man. That was rough.
yeah, I mean, I was like depressed the next day. Honestly,
Yeah.
I really was.
That was rough, but that was one of those instances where I knew it was coming. You know, especially from that kiss after the Howard ceremony. I was like, oh, this is coming. And he comes in and she's packing, and it's like, oh, geez,
Yeah,
And they have this big argument. She tells him that she knew about Lalo, and she admits to him that she was like, I didn't tell you because I knew you were gonna pull the plug on the Howard thing.
yeah,
And the Howard thing, she like needed that in her life. Like she just needed that, you know. And but it just like pointed out just like the extreme toxicity of the relationship, where it was like, like she needed that to be part of the relationship.
yeah,
Like if Jimmy had pulled the plug on the Howard thing, she would have left him. You know. And he didn't pull the plug. She didn't tell him about Lalo, and he didn't pull the plug on the Howard thing, and she left him anyway.
yeah,
It's like she was bound to leave him, and it ultimately is just because she is, of the two, the character that can do that. Well, he can't do that.
yeah,
There's no quit in his character. He'll just do. But she saw it for what it was, man. She saw it for what it was. It was heartbreaking, but it had to happen.
yeah, yeah. I mean, one thing that I thought was gonna happen because I was rewatching the series and I rewatched the finale of season 5. It's right after Lalo first visits their apartment and then he leaves and they go to a hotel and which is funny how Lalo keeps sending their asses to hotels. It's like anytime he comes, they're like, "We gotta get the fuck out of here." This guy's like poisoned this room. Um, but they go to that hotel, and Jimmy, he actually kind of starts to break up with her. I don't know if you remember this, but
I don't remember that. No.
he goes like he goes like Kim. It's like after he learns that Lalo's going to be assassinated.
Yeah.
He goes like Kim. This has been one hell of a ride.
Yeah.
He goes, I think, and she's kind of waiting, and then he goes, you kind of see his wheels turn, and he just goes, I think, let's go home.
Yeah.
And he kind of like backtracks, and then she's like, no, let's stay here at the hotel, and then they have dinner, and then they have sex, and they talk about their plan for the Howard scam. That's where they first concoct it.
Yeah,
And,
but that's the thing. I guess that kind of like highlights that it was like that he was never going to pull the plug on their relationship.
yeah, and it showed that she was like, okay, he's starting to like he almost just pulled the plug, so I need to like invent a new scam or like because she comes up with the Howard scam.
Yeah.
She bases it. She gets the idea from his pranks on Howard,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it really was like, and you see it throughout this season too, like throughout season 6, like you see it throughout this season. In the first episode, they're at dinner, and she's like, "I was thinking about our first moves on the Howard front," and
Yeah.
Jimmy's like, "We're doing that,"
Yeah.
and she's like, "You think we shouldn't?" And then they kind of like fall silent, and there's like this awkward silence,
Yeah.
and there's like, I feel like Jimmy has this look on his face like, shit, we have nothing else to like talk about. So then he's like, doesn't hurt to talk about it, I guess, and
Yeah.
so you just realize like this is all they have
Yeah, exactly.
in common, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, that's when they first, as far as we know anyway, like sleep together in the show is after they scam Ken wins or whatever at the bar,
Yeah, I remember that.
the stock guy.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it really was devastating, man. Like the most heartbreaking words in that episode were when Jimmy says "I love you" and she goes,
She says,
"I love you too, but so what?"
but so what? Yeah.
And to
That was
me,
so defeating. Yeah.
and to me that was like it was a very mature thing for her to say though, because she was like basically saying like us being together damages people, poisons everyone around us. People suffer because we're together. So we love each other, but so fucking what if it damages people around us?
This
How's
is like
that?
a
That doesn't
metaphor for
justify
like being addicted to like meth.
it. Yeah, yeah, it really is.
It's like we gotta quit. Meth, I gotta quit you.
Yeah,
It's been enough.
yeah, and both those shows are pretty much about Walter and Jimmy respectively. It's like it's about these dudes who just can't fucking stop like what they're doing.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and then how just not being able to stop just ruins their lives. Those of the people immediately around them, also just casualties like Howard.
Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, this past episode, yeah, it was good, man. It was a fun little episode, and I think it was
Yeah.
again. Well, let's talk first. The intro. You didn't see that coming?
Yeah, no,
I was
no.
like, and I do remember someone online saying, you know what they should do is like distort the music now too, because
Yeah, no, I didn't see that coming at all, man.
every season and I guess I didn't notice this, but each number episode of each season, so like episode 1 of season 1 and episode 1 of season 2 have the same intro.
Yeah.
So they kind of change each time. Like there's like the spider, there's the urinal, there's the Statue of Liberty,
Yeah.
there's the mug falling, and they do like those different intros. They correspond in each season to the episode number. They keep them the same actually.
Fascinating. I didn't know that at all.
I had no idea, and I just rewatched the whole. I never would notice that. But so with this episode, they were like, "Well, this is the first time we have more than 10." So, wait, no, but this was the 10th one. So actually, that brings another question: what the hell are they gonna do next week?
Yeah, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do going forward? Are they just gonna play the Breaking Bad theme song?
Right. Dude, I'll freak out if they have like a Breaking Bad, like if that theme comes on next episode, like that boom boom boom, boom boom boom, boom boom boom. I'll be like, holy fuck, man. Uh, yeah, this episode was the black and white episode. It was so much fun. It was such a classic like Saul scam. It felt like
Yeah, it really was. It was just like back to the days of Slip and Jimmy. So that's what I thought to myself. I was like, oh, Slip and Jimmy again. Yeah.
And did you notice that? Because I realized I was like, Jeff, the cab driver, is basically like Jimmy at the beginning of the show, where he's just like this loser. He lives in some lady's like abode, kind of like Jimmy in the nail salon,
Yeah.
and he wants like a taste of the high life. you know?
Yeah.
And then, dude, he slips and falls.
Yeah.
And he fucking hits his head. Slipping
Yeah.
Jeffy, dude.
He did. He
And
slipped and smacked his ass.
I feel like
He like
that,
had a concussion.
yeah, and I feel like that moment was like slipping Jimmy full circle. It was like you started your career slipping, you know. You're scamming, you're grifting, and now this guy who you sent out to do this slipped and fell for real.
Yeah.
Cause he did exactly the like slip and fall thing, but it was real, and he freaking hit his head. I think that was done on purpose. I really do.
They set it up that up like a curve episode. It's just like, oh, there's this much here. There's something here. Go the guy to get this, and then that guy just busts his ass on that shit.
Yeah.
It's like this is fucking curve your enthusiasm.
Oh, they set that up earlier?
Isn't that what that was? Like where the lady, she was like, there's like, you know, this like streak on the floor, and it needs to be cleaned, and the guy that you know waxes needs to wax this, you know.
Oh,
like
and so he slips on the wax.
He slipped, like, I don't know if it was the wax or just the stain itself, like one of those two things.
Wow. Okay, I didn't even notice that. That's brilliant.
They set that up. They set his ass falling up.
They set everything up, man. It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, quite the butt clencher too.
But yeah, this is a very straightforward episode. Where it's like, okay, he's just playing a scam, you know, and I loved like the montage, like the Cinnabon montage of just him like becoming like really good buddies with these guys.
Yeah.
But I also took a note of this. So it goes rather. 1 Armani suits and run. 2 Air Jordan shoes for you. 3 linen shirts for free. 4 cashmere sweaters out the door. 5 protagonists to survive. And that's all I got.
Oh my god, dude.
2 Jordan shoes for you.
Yeah, that shit was funny. Oh, and dude, he mentions Walter White. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, that's right. He does.
He's like, high school chemistry teacher comes waltzing into my office. And then he's like, he's broke as hell. 1 year later, he's got a pile of money the size of what do you say, a Volkswagen?
I think so, something like that.
I was like, wow, man. He mentioned him. But yeah, they're coming next week, I'm telling you.
Yeah, like, more, I don't have anything else to say about that episode. It was just a good, fun episode, you know.
Yeah. And it was wise of them to, that should not have been the finale. That would have sucked.
Anxiety inducing, you know, anxious. Like when that guy was like running around in the background, I was like, oh god, you know, like, here comes like the just anxiety, you know.
Yeah.
But then we slipped, and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ! And then Jimmy had to like just keep him from looking back and be like, oh, look at me! He's going to look at me. He's like, oh, my brother died, and I'm all alone. It's like, holy shit, bro.
Yeah, and it was a good, like, they turned it into a good little character moment there, too.
Yeah.
Like, he mentioned Chuck, and he mentioned Kim. I was like, man. He mentions a lot of people, just not by name in that episode.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? That's definitely not going to be the last. I'll tell you this. Maybe we've seen the last of Gus and Mike. We've not seen the last of Kim.
This is the last of Kim. Absolutely not. And we've not seen the last of Gene.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I think we're going to come back to that character.
He'll probably be the final scene of the series, maybe.
Yeah.
That's what I would think.
I'm sure we'll be back to that character, you know. Because either they set something up with those guys and him being like, I'm out, you know, they could come back. Or, I don't know, you know, maybe him, like, trying on getting himself in the mirror with that suit in that time, maybe that meant something more than just him kind of being like, well, the old life, you know, back in the hangar, you know. So maybe that could be anything, or maybe it could be nothing. You know, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, to me at least, you know, if that was the last we've seen of Gene, that was just basically him being like, you know, because he was happy the next day after that scam. In the whole series, Better Call Saul, the best way I've heard these two series described is Breaking Bad is about how people can change, and Better Call Saul is how some people never change.
Yeah,
And that's what Jimmy is, kind of a flat arc character when you think about
yeah,
it.
yeah,
His character arc is flat. It's very like he's like Daniel Day Lewis's character arc in There Will Be Blood, where it's like the guy
yeah.
doesn't change. He's challenged, but he always comes back to the same conclusion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like that's the thing with Jimmy, you know. And I guess it's like the whole thing of what he was remembering that guy told him at the grocery store. You know what I'm talking about?
The grocery store.
It's like some people are wolves, and other people are the bunnies or
Oh
something like
yeah,
that.
wolves and sheep. Yeah,
Yeah. So it just feels like Jimmy is just who he is, and that
yeah,
he's like. It feels like Chuck was right about him.
yeah.
It's like Jimmy is just Jimmy. He's always been Jimmy. He's never gonna change.
Yep.
But always gonna be slipping Jimmy, and that really is what it feels like. You know.
Gus. Chuck was right. Um, Chuck knew the thing about Chuck is like, yeah, Chuck was kind of an asshole,
Yeah.
but Chuck was pragmatically correct.
Yeah.
He should not only should he have not hired Jimmy, he never even should have brought Jimmy down to New Mexico. Like Jimmy coming down to New Mexico, literally, dude, the guy is like a Taz tornado. Like he's like a human tornado. He just fucks everything up. If he stayed in Illinois, Chuck would still be alive, Howard would still be alive, Kim would be fine. You know, it really is sad, honestly. That's what
But
I got from these episodes. I was like,
but the thing with me and Chuck too is that Chuck made that a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know,
yeah, but I do
like
think I agree with that, but I do think that what we should what what Jimmy's character has told me is that yes, Chuck did push Jimmy to be Slippin' Jimmy again. You know, like by saying to him like you'll never change and awakening that anger, he
yeah,
like it's like you said, he made it self fulfilling prophecy. But the thing is though, I think that it would have been the same either way. I do
mm,
think that if Chuck was just like, yeah, Jimmy, come on into the firm from the Sandpiper case, work here.
yeah.
I think it still would have turned out bad, dude. I really
I think
do.
you're right. I think you're right. Yeah.
From
I think
everything,
it's one of those things, man. It's one of those just difficult things, you know.
yeah, from everything we've learned about this character throughout this series, I just that's what I assume is like, okay, this guy, he just can't stop.
Yeah.
He would have kept being crooked, kept being backwards. He would have kept going.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah, I believe it.
I know. I agree. I agree with you.
Um, but yeah. Anyway, probably move on from Saul
Yeah.
till next week.
Until next week, we'll see what happens.
Right. So, okay. Oh, excuse me. I've actually been watching movies this week.
Yeah, I've seen like one movie.
What'd you see?
I saw this not Disney, this Netflix movie that people have been like discussing a lot. I saw this movie called Persuasion.
Okay.
It's
Persuasion.
a it's a
Persuasion.
it's a Jane Austen adaptation.
Uh,
Um, and it's like adapting like her last like completed novel before she died. And it's like this movie starring what is it? Dakota Johnson. You know, and people have been criticizing it just because it's like not like a straightforward like period piece like custom drama.
huh.
You know, people have been criticizing it because of that, and people have been like, oh, you know, because it has this like fourth wall breaks, and it has a lot of like new age like lingo. You know, it like substitutes like you know dialogue that was written or expressed very poetically in the novel for like just like kind of new age, like Gen Z like shit,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I watched it and I didn't that none of that bothered me. I think it's one of those things that it will bother you if you're like a purist for like novel adaptations from novels that are like 200 years old.
Right.
Which have been adapted already like multiple times. And they even have like TV shows. And it's like, yeah, this is just like the 10th adaptation of this.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a problem. I thought it was enjoyable. I thought it was a nice time. But that's all I've seen. That's all I've seen. I've seen nothing else. No TV shows. No nothing.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I haven't even seen the movie of the week, man. You're gonna have to talk about that on your own.
Well, I watched what I watched last week. Yeah, so I went to Minnesota this past weekend to visit family. I watched on the plane ride there Seven, David Fincher. Yep, rewatched that. But more in depth viewing than when I first watched it. I think the first time I watched it, actually, toward the end, I actually fell asleep. Um, Not because the movie was bad. I was really tired. But yeah, like every Fincher film, great fucking movie. Seven's got to be one of the darkest films ever made.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's a classic. I mean, people are being spoiled to the ending of that movie by this point. I think.
Yeah, yeah. It is
the
one
iconic,
of those.
What's in the bag?
Yep.
The box. What's in the bag?
What's in the box? Yep.
Yeah.
It's. Excuse me. It is probably, yeah. It's got to be like one of the darkest films ever. There's like barely any. There's some humor in it. There's some comic relief as much as you can have. And this is what I've noticed too. Like, I noticed one thing that every piece of art, of media, has in common is humor.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think every single film, no matter how dark it is, has humor in it.
Mm.
Think of like the darkest film ever, like, maybe Hereditary comes to mind. There's funny shit in that movie. Like,
What is funny about that movie?
Huh?
What's funny about that movie?
I can think of one. I can think of a scene right off the top of my head. There's a part where they're sitting in class and the teacher's like asks the class a question, and he's like, "Yeah, it's a yes or no question." And like there's a kid in the class that just goes, "Yes," and the teacher goes, "Why?" And the kid goes, "Because."
Uh,
And like it's just like this little. It's not much, but it's like
I remember that. I remember that little interaction there.
there's like little bits of like there's like little bits of humor in that movie. Because you have to put humor in a film. You have.
Bro, I really challenged you, man, because you said that, and I was like, "What's funny about that movie?"
You did. You were ready. You needed some evidence. Well, there you go. I gave you some empirical evidence that you can go and verify.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Seven's no different. There's plenty of shit in that movie that's actually kind of funny. Like, it's not like it won't be a whole scene or something out of place. It's just banter a lot of times in these films and like darker films that it's comic relief, man. And you need it. You need it, especially when a film's that dark. Yeah. Fuck, dude. What a great movie. Morgan Freeman, fucking awesome in that movie.
Yeah.
And then when we were hanging out with my sister and I were hanging out with my cousin, we always like to watch with my cousin, even though she's getting a little older now. We just just to kind of be kids again. We'll always watch like Disney movies and stuff. When we see them again, and we watched A Bug's Life. It's a great great Pixar film. Have you seen A Bug's Life?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Is that the one with Kevin Spacey, or
Yeah.
is it Ants?
Yeah, no, it's Bug's Life. He's
So basically you had a Kevin Spacey filled weekend.
yeah. Isn't that weird? I watched Kevin Spacey is the villain of both of those films. One's like the
Yeah.
darkest film ever, and then
Yeah.
the other one's like this kid's movie.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
The man has a lot of range, you know. He also has the range of going to jail forever for being a horrible man in real life.
Yeah.
But he's a very gifted actor.
Remember when he tried to make that like House of Cards parody video about his allegations, and people were like,
Yeah.
no.
No, people checked him. I think he's in jail now for like 10 years or something.
Fucking asshole, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Bug's Life, great movie. And then on the plane ride back, I watched Deliverance.
Oh, really? The hillbilly movie.
Yeah. Have you seen that movie?
Seen that movie? Yeah, I've seen that movie. 100% is based off of the poster. The poster is just like the poster is that dream sequence. Spoilers. No, I'm not gonna spoil it. Fuck it. I'm not gonna spoil it. The poster is when that shotgun coming out of the water.
Yeah.
You know, and just based off of that, I was like, oh, I gotta watch this.
Yeah. I don't think I thought Deliverance was like okay.
It's okay.
It's good. I don't think it didn't. You know, it wasn't what I expected. Like most of the movies, more of like a survival film. There's not the hillbillies actually aren't a big presence in that film.
No, like the
They're in
first
one
part,
scene.
the first act of the movie is just them having fun. It's just them kind of being like, oh, you know, we're going down the we're having fun, and then the hillbillies come in, and then the rest of the movie is just them being really paranoid about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. I thought it was gonna be like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Not that imagery, but like, you know, where they're just a constant threat throughout the movie. And I thought it was gonna lead up to this big confrontation. You know.
Yeah.
And I liked the character arc of because for a while they're all hiding behind that big survivalist guy,
Yeah.
and then he gets hurt, so the actual protagonist has to step up and get in touch with his wild side. But yeah, there's a lot of great moments in that movie, like really like hardcore moments where
Yeah.
it feels
There's
real.
disturbing moments in that movie.
Yeah, a lot of shit in that movie, like the deaths feel real. Like someone
Yeah.
getting shot or someone getting hit with an arrow. And it just feels like that's what it would actually look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy movie, but I didn't think it was like all that great.
But it's not a great movie. It's kind of just like a fun little movie to watch.
Yeah, fun in a weird way.
Fun in a weird way. Yeah, if you're down for that, then it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna have to disagree with you there. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I watched. Started watching The Wire, like I said. I feel like there was.
Was there anything else? Did you read anything else or listen to anything?
Not really. I'm reading. My nonfiction book of the week is well, so last week I read two books last week actually because one of them was really really short, and they kind of went really well together. One's called Mind Star, and it's by Dr. Michael A. Aquino. He's the founder of the Temple of Set.
That's right.
Yeah, and he has a book called Mind Star, which is basically probably his most popular book, but it's basically about the aspects of human consciousness and the soul and how it can be detected and the ancient Egyptian ideas of the soul. So like the ancient Egyptians had like 8 parts of the self that they recognized, stuff like that. And then I read that, and then I read that back to back with Consciousness, a very short introduction by Susan. What's her name? Consciousness, a very short introduction. Susan Blackmore. She's a
Yeah,
psychologist. Um, yeah, a lot more of a Mindstar is more of like an occult kind of book
yeah.
that deals in archetypes and stuff, whereas um, the consciousness is more of an empirical, scientific, book.
Oh,
It,
I like the very short part of that. I
yeah,
feel like everything should be short.
yeah,
Everything should be like that episode of Curve when Jason Alexander makes like an acting, he like writes like an acting book, and and Larry's like this is more like a pamphlet, you know? It's like very thin.
yeah.
And I feel like that's how everything should be.
If I could
Everything
reach it,
should be
if I could reach it, I would. It literally looks like a pamphlet. It's like that.
yeah,
It's like that big. It's
yeah,
tiny. It's like the size. The book is like the size of an iPhone, um,
really.
or like a little bigger than that. But yeah,
Everything should. I believe that everything should be communicated as succinctly as possible.
yeah.
You know?
Well,
If you can say something in a sentence, why say it in a paragraph? Just say it in a sentence.
well, that's why, and people give him shit for that. But like Ty Lopez, that's why he reads a book a day, but he doesn't read it. He like skims it. But that's all.
He reads a Wikipedia plot. He reads the breakdown.
Yeah, but he reads a nonfiction book a day, and people who rag on him for that, like for speed reading it, are ignorant because they don't know how. Like nonfiction, you can just speed read it because with nonfiction books, there's like a point. At least in like certain nonfiction books, like most nonfiction books that are about like concepts and stuff, there's a point. Each chapter kind of in like each paragraph or however you want to break it down has like a point. If you could just get that point, you're not going to retain all the information anyway by reading the whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I talked about this last time. So
Yeah. But that's how it should be. It should be the Ty Lopez way.
yeah, but the publisher is like, you got to fill up the pages because we got to sell a book. But it can all be in a blog post most of the time.
That's how I feel. I mean, I'm not going to go into a tangent about this. We've already done enough tangents this episode.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about TV shows. And I'm going to put a period on that sentence, and that's done.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so this consciousness book was really interesting. I'm not going to get into it, but it was like, about free will and what is consciousness and decision making, just a bunch of crazy crap, and you really realize, like, I don't know, I think when you read like about neuroscience, the neuroscience of consciousness and stuff, it's just kind of like, man, we don't have a fucking soul. It's like, man, you can totally, like, when you look at all the like neuroscience of it and stuff, you can actually see how this stuff can come about from just matter, and how, like, the way I've come away from this book about consciousness is, have you seen the movie A Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yes.
Okay. So the villain in that movie, he's like the boogeyman, and he's like this potato sack, and then they unravel him at the end, and it's just all these creatures inside, like all those worms.
Yes.
I feel like we are that mentally. Like, we're just this, our consciousness is just a bunch of these different things that are just together, and then you could like separate it. Like, they've literally cut a brain in half, and it's like there's actually it becomes two people.
Yeah.
Two personalities.
Yes.
So yeah, it's kind of like, what the fuck? Yeah. But anyway.
Very fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting stuff. So that's kind of what I came away from that book, and also the idea that we probably don't have free will, which is really interesting.
or souls.
Yeah, the whole free will thing, that's a little disturbing. Like, when you read, like, when I was reading that, I was like, ooh, we might not actually have that after all.
That's what, yeah. It's a tricky one.
Yeah.
That rabbit hole.
Yeah, because then it's just like, well, how do you hold someone accountable for anything then?
Right.
But
that's what you should appeal at court. Say, I wouldn't have free will. I was bound to do this.
Yeah.
I was bound to do this. My hands were tied by destiny.
Yeah. But yeah, That's my consumption for the week of
Well,
media.
I listened to in my F journey. I listened to Fiona Apple. Finished that. I talked about that last episode. And this week I listened to FKA Twigs records.
Mm-hmm.
Listened to LP1. I listened to Magdalene. I listened to Capri songs. All great. All at least an 8 out of 10. LP1 and the Capri songs definitely 8 out of 10s. Magdalene is like an 8 or a 9. Great album.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're listening out there and you're somebody that likes like experimental, like trip hop, and you like art pop, give FKA Twigs give her a go, because like she's basically somebody that's trying to make like this like trippy hip hop like art pop music, and then pairing those sounds with the very like traditional vocals. It's almost like she's like an opera singer. It just makes for a very cool, very very cool music. If somebody's trying to check out a song, I recommend. Let me see. I recommend "Mirrored Heart" from Magdalene. So I listened to that, and then I've also started listening to Fleet Foxes. They make folk music in Americana. And a guy that I talked about a few weeks ago, who was Father John Misty, he used to be part of them. He's not anymore, but he is in the first couple of albums. So it's been very interesting listening to his voice just pop up in his records. But Fleet Foxes, they're amazing. They make fucking fantastic folk music. And I listened to the self-titled album, and I listened to Helplessness Blues. Both great, both thumbs up. If you want to listen to something from them, listen to Montezuma from Helplessness Blues,
Mm-hmm.
the very first song. That's all I got. That's the music. That's music for this week. Some art pop and some.
Cool.
It's been raining a lot around here, so it's been great listening to folk music.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
With all that being said, do you want to get into the movie of the week?
Let's get into it. Love and Death by Woody Allen.
Yes. So we watched the 1975 film Love and Death by Woody Allen.
Yes,
It's a
sir.
comedy. It's based on Russia in war, specifically during the Napoleon Wars and the Napoleon invasion.
Yep.
So all that shit being said, what did you fucking think about this one?
I mean, this movie's like acclaimed. I mean, people, critics like love this film.
This is an acclaimed movie.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can claim about this movie is that I didn't like it.
Really, you didn't like it?
I didn't like it.
Yeah, you could probably tell by my tone just starting off there.
Yeah, man. Like
it's like I wasn't sure if I didn't really. You had the guts to say it. I didn't have the guts to say it. I was
that's the thing, because like I picked this movie, and like I know from the tone of your voice, I was like, he feels the exact same way that I feel.
Yeah.
And the feeling for me is just underwhelming.
Yeah.
It's like I found the movie to be overlong, boring, and unsatisfying. And I thought that it stopped being funny like 5 minutes into the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't even like when I was watching this movie. I was just kind of like, I was like, I don't even know what to notate or what to like.
Same here, my brother.
Pick out of it, because I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna talk about regarding this film.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, it's so. I don't know. It just felt like it was so there, you know, and it's. I felt like it was unfocused too in terms of like theme. Because I was like, there's some points when it's kind of theological, and then other points where it's Like,
I feel like this movie completely forgets what it wants to do. Like it
yeah,
feels to me like it's just like, you know, like it starts and it's doing this little narration and he's like, I'm about to die, something of which I completely forgot. Like when at the end of the movie they're like, oh, we're gonna kill you. I'm like, oh shit! I was like, oh shit! This is how this started. Like
yeah,
it started with him being like, oh, so I'm gonna die tomorrow,
yeah,
and I was like, oh, all right.
yeah,
Then he talks about how his dad owns a little piece of land that he carries with him, and that kind of made me chuckle. And then the whole thing about there being like a young Gregor and an old Gregor, but old Gregor is the son of young Gregor. I was like, okay, that's funny.
yeah,
And that's the last thing that I found. No, actually, there's another thing that I found funny. I'll get to it later.
yeah. I like a lot of his one-liners were pretty funny.
Yeah,
I can't really remember too many of them, but
no, I can't remember about it.
yeah, um, yeah. It did kind of forget what it wanted to be. Like I was like, okay. I mean, the movie's called Love and Death. So it's about
Yeah,
fucking love and death. We can
yeah.
establish that much, but it sort of felt like the title was like self-fulfilling prophecy, where it was just like it's like, yep, this is not only the title of the movie but also the theme of the movie, and like this is the love and death is like the the controlling idea of the film, but your controlling idea is supposed to be like a statement, like this X and Y causes Z to happen or whatever. But this movie is like, it's like if Bob Goss asked Woody Allen, like, what's your theme? Like, what's the theme of this movie? And Woody Allen was like, love and death. And Bob Goss like, that's a theme? Like,
Yeah.
shout out Professor Bob Goss. But it did, like, if it's just kind of like, okay, what's the? And then when they had those philosophical conversations, I was just really annoyed. I was like,
That's
I
annoying
get
too.
they're not like taking it seriously, but it's really annoying watching characters
Yeah,
do that.
the whole. I mean, and they did that joke so many times. They did that joke so many times.
Yeah,
Like the subjectivity is objectivity. No, objectivity is it's like okay, all right. It's like okay, you did that, you did that. Like
yeah,
don't do it again. But they do it so many times, like that same joke, and I'm like, come on, guys.
yeah,
I don't know, man. Like I need to. There's like films that I need to see because I need to see like the Monty Python movies. It's like those are the type of movies that this reminded me of, and I haven't seen those films. But I'm saying that because those Monty Python movies also feel just like a movie that is like wholly made out of just like sketches. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Oh, this is a little sketch, and now this is happening, and I was like, I've always been excited to watch those movies because I've always felt like, oh, maybe I'll watch this and it'll really make me laugh, and I'll feel like I'm part of the crowd. I'll feel like I'm part of the fucking Monty Python crowd
yeah,
and the fucking Terry Gilliam crowd. But then watching this movie that felt like it was literally one of those movies, I was like, I feel like I'm not gonna like those either.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know. I saw Monty Python and the Holy Grail like when I was real young. I barely remember it. Yeah, yeah, and it was the philosophical conversation. They were really annoying to me too because I hate when because I listen to a lot of like theology debates and stuff and philosophy debates.
yeah,
I listen to those for fun, and I get really annoyed when one party, it's usually one party and it's usually when they're fucking losing.
yeah,
They start arguing semantics,
right,
and I'm just kind of like that shit gets me, like when they're debating, there's like a theology debate, and like the theist will be like, oh, actually, well, my opponent says that, you know, oh, my opponent says that morality can't be objective, but then he's saying that there is objective morality. It's like, dude, you're playing like word games, like,
yeah,
it's like, dude, you're playing word games, like you're not actually arguing the point. You're like trying to
right,
catch you're trying to like catch this guy in like a con like like a vocabulary contradiction, and
yeah,
it's just kind of like it's just lame.
yeah,
It's like you're straying away from the fucking idea, and That's what those philosophical debates in this movie were. I don't know if it was supposed to be funny, but they're like, so subjectivity.
It was supposed to be funny, but it wasn't.
Yeah, they're like subjectivity is objective. You know, it's like shut up.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's a moral thing. See, morality is subjective. Subjectivity is for the subject, but subjectivity is also objectivity. It's like,
Ugh.
okay, guys. It's like, all right, guys. It's like, all right, let's come on.
And then when Woody Allen looks at the camera and he's just like talking about that shit at the end, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you motherfucker.
Because that felt like a cop out. That
Yeah.
just felt like it just felt like, okay, I ended the script or the movie or whatever. It's over, but I haven't addressed the thing that I said at the fucking monologue at the beginning of the film. So I guess I have to say something, and then he says something, and then it's like, okay, it's like, all right, like, and then he says something that just feels like it's like out of like a Disney like 80s like cartoon. It's like, oh, love is love, and death. Sometimes you die, and everybody dies, and it's like, okay,
Ugh.
all right,
Yeah.
what I can do for this movie, or what I can do for this section of this tremendous podcast that we have that has been riddled with technical difficulties over the past couple of weeks is point out all the funny moments. So if you indulge me, I'll do that.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't have anything else to say.
So his brother's getting married. He gets married to the woman that's not, Eaton, the actress. I forget her name. I'm sorry. And she
Diane
goes like,
Keaton.
"Well, I'm marrying this old guy," and then the old guy gets up and dies immediately. I was like, okay, that's kind of funny.
That was kind of funny. And then she's like, "Oh no, I'm actually marrying this guy," and the guy just like goes along with it. He's just such a simp.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, the guy that was selling the herring guy.
yeah,
So the other thing that I found funny is they're out training for the war, and he goes like, "You don't want Napoleon to take over Russia," and Woody Allen goes like, "Why not?" It's like, why not? Why don't we just let Napoleon take Russia? And he goes like, because we don't want their culture and their food here. And then he goes like, you wouldn't want to be served delicious foods and rich tastes. And everybody goes like, no, we don't want that. And I was like, okay, that's kind of funny, because it's basically saying like it would be better if we were fucking living under the French because they have better things going on than we do. The thing that I found funny is that one guy dies, like an older guy, and Woody Allen sees him walking with death.
yeah."
And he encounters Woody Allen, and he's like, "Hey, when you go to my house, would you take this thing and take it to be appraised and sell it and give it to this other woman and tell her to give you a receipt?" I was like, okay, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, that was funny. It was like he was still concerned about money.
Yeah. And then he has a dig at lawyers, which made me think about Better Call Saul. When he goes like, the men that don't think about sex at all become lawyers, and that was it. That's all. That's all I have to say about this movie.
Oh man.
That's all I have to say about this movie. I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, that's it for me, man. I don't really know what this movie accomplishes, to be honest.
It was disappointing. It had no direction. It was just random.
It's watchable though. I'll say that it's watchable. I wasn't like in pain.
I wasn't in pain. I wasn't in pain either, but it did feel like because it had no like momentum.
Yeah.
Like Woody Allen's character wasn't really trying to achieve anything.
Yeah.
Like, there was nothing. Like there's literally nothing going on in this movie. It's just like an episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Because of that, and even an episode of Seinfeld has more fucking narrative fucking traction than this.
Yeah.
But because of that, I found myself being like, an hour and 24 minutes is a little bit too long for this.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah. Yeah, I watched about an hour. I watched about an hour of it last night, and then I fell asleep. But I didn't want to pull a YMS, so I did finish it when I got home.
Oh, good.
I can't pull a YMS. It's so dishonest.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I do not have a film for next week selected yet. But what would you rate this movie?
Well, let me give you some reviews to cap this off.
Okay.
So this is the fucking Rotten Tomatoes review. This is like It has 100% Rotten
I
Tomatoes,
saw that. Yeah.
and it has a 90% audience rating. Uh, This is a 90% from 10,000 ratings from the audiences. So 10,000 people have rated this on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's at a 90%. Basically, Jake, you and I don't understand cinema.
Yeah.
Don't understand anything. You're an idiot. I'm an idiot for listening to you talk about love and death when you know nothing about cinema.
Yeah, we're philosophically inept, dude. We don't know
Yeah,
how to
really are.
we can't follow
But
all those. I get the philosophies of the movie. The movie is exploring philosophy, but to me, like cinema, again, I say this with Sopranos all the time. Like Sopranos is a very philosophical show, but it does border on pretentious shit sometimes. It borders on pretentious. Like there's like shit in that show where when it happened, I was just like, oh my god, motherfucker. Like there's a scene in that show, and I know this is out of context, so it would probably mean more to you actually watching it, but and this is no spoilers, but Tony is like having a mushroom trip, and he recently had an experience where like he almost died, and he's having a mushroom trip, and he's like with this woman, and they're like on a hill. I think they're watching like the sunset or something, and like the sun kind of like blinks at him, like it shines at him like bright like once, and he goes like, I get it. And like
he gets what?
right, and it's just kind of like there's shit like that in Sopranos where you're just like, I get it's philosophical and stuff, I get it, but it's like that is like those are like philosophical ideas that are laid in there, but you need like that strong philosophical conflict between two opposing ideas and have a focused story, you know, and yeah.
So these are a couple of reviews. This is the Rotten Tomato one. It says Woody Allen plunks his neurotic persona into a Tolstoy pastiche and yields one of his funniest films, brimming with slapstick ingenuity and literary inquiry into subjects as momentous as love and death.
Whoa.
This is the thing. I think a lot of people were like wooed by this movie when it came out. A lot of old critics, a lot of like people who were around at the time.
Yeah.
Because Woody Allen came into film. He's making these like silly little fucking comedies. Eventually, came movies like Manhattan, or movies like Annie Hall, or movies like so on and so forth. The Blue Jasmine in the 2010s. Like eventually he like became like a full-fledged just like minded towards making films where exploring like something more than just comedic beats, like and fucking like random over analyzing of bullshit.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is like probably his first movie that really struck a good chord with audiences of being like, okay, this is actually funny and it's actually kind of smart.
Mm.
So it feels like people are kind of coming at this movie that way. Obviously, are watching this movie in 2022, and this movie sucked a little bit, and people are saying that it feels strange, but here we are.
Yeah.
The most popular short review on Letterboxd is just the word "eat."
What is it? Eat?
Eat.
Oh, neat?
Eat.
Every time you say it, you like cut out.
this is like that. I'm basically saying wheat, like wheat thins.
Oh.
Yeah. But I was saying it like Stewie, where he's like saying like wheat.
Oh,
and
wheat.
And Brian's like, you mean wheat? Like wheat things? Like, no, wheat thins. The most popular short review is a guy who gave it a 1 star and said, Woody Allen does Russian literature. Snug intellectualism mixed with slapstick silliness. And he says, hated it.
Hated it.
So I give this movie a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I would probably give it the same. Yeah, 4 out of 10.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. It's bad. It's not horrible.
Yeah. Maybe we're just idiots. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we'll just say this, but I wouldn't watch this again. It didn't make me think about anything. It didn't make me chuckle a couple of times. That's it.
Yeah, same here. Cool.
And you don't have a movie for next week.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let Edward know, and the rest of you will just find out next week.
Right.
So.
All right, everybody. I guess that's that for this tangents.
That's that's gonna be it. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. We're out.
Peace.